A new gun control provision passed last month in Vermont is being met with criticism from law enforcement. Constitutional Sheriffs and Peace Officers Association President Sheriff Richard Mack calls on Vermont sheriffs to ignore that new gun control legislation and to protect the Second Amendment. Joining me now, Sheriff Richard Mack. Sheriff, good to have you here.
Thanks, Lou. It's really great to be back in New York.
What is the reaction of those you've asked to say, just ignore it, don't enforce it?
Well,
it sounds very Obama-esque, if I may say.
Well, we want the borders protected. They ignore the immigration laws, and they do pick and choose quite often. But we don't want to pick and choose. We want the Constitution enforced by those in local and municipal jurisdictions who swore an oath to do just that.
Right.
And so this really is a badge versus the badge situation. And I believe that the biggest badge in the county is the county sheriff. The county sheriff is the only elected law enforcement officer in the county. He reports directly to the people. He's not a bureaucrat. Right. He doesn't answer to another bureaucrat. If we're going to take America back, then we must do so one county at a time, sheriff by sheriff.
Your organization has issued a resolution calling on Congress to follow the laws set out in the Constitution. What are you trying to accomplish there?
Well, not just Congress, but it would really be nice to have them on board. But we want every federal official. We want all the FBI agents in this country, EPA, FDA, all of the federal bureaucracies. But yes, they're controlled by Congress, so we need Congress on board too. That we're going to tell them, if you don't enforce the Constitution, we will. Now, remember, this is a peaceful process. We're not trying to fight anybody. We're not trying to cause a civil war or a revolution. We want to...
Oh, that's reassuring.
Well, but the thing of it is, they keep pushing it. I mean, they keep pushing the envelope on this. And right now
when you say they, you're referring
to the federal government. They have raids going on against honest American citizens all the time. Even the Department of Education raided a man's home in Stockton, California, because his estranged wife, who wasn't even there, his estranged wife hadn't paid her student loan. This is the type of thing that we want to stop.
That happened last year.
Well, but also, yes, it did. And how about the IRS? Who's going to protect Americans from the IRS? We believe every sheriff, every cop in this country should be the guards of liberty, just as they promised to do.
Okay, I think that everyone has great confidence and faith in their sheriffs and local law enforcement, and I think more so.
But they don't have that with Washington, D.C.
Well, I understand that, but I also think that we have to acknowledge that Constitution calls for the supremacy of the federal government when those laws are laid down
pursuant to the Constitution.
Exactly. Absolutely.
Pursuant to the Constitution. And the federal government hasn't followed the Constitution in decades. And what we're saying is, all we're saying in our resolution, our CSPOA resolution, anybody can see it on our website, all we're saying is follow the Bill of Rights. Why not? Why is that so hard for them? Why can't they get that? But they violate it all the time. I mean, the families right now that are being abused in San Diego that the BATF raided, the families that are being abused in Montana right now and in Wyoming, these are things happening all the time. And the IRS abuses, I mean, we all know that they commit crimes all the time. And it's almost routine.
So what is the recourse that you're suggesting?
Well, the recourse is the checks and balances as required within the principles of the 10th Amendment and state sovereignty. Right. Who's going to enforce state sovereignty? The federal government? They're the ones destroying it. We're saying that every governor, every sheriff, every county attorney, every city councilman should be on the side of liberty. And why not? Why shouldn't we be saying, hold it? My Supreme Court case, when I sued the federal government, I sued the Clinton administration when I was sheriff. Right. And 6 other sheriffs were part of this lawsuit from all over the country. We should have had thousands involved in it, but we didn't, People are afraid to get involved. We can't be afraid to get involved anymore. This isn't just a mess anymore, Lou. This is America dying. And we can save her. And we can make it all peaceful if we have sheriffs and local officials that will just tell the federal government, there's a few things you're not going to do here.
And in Vermont, what is the reaction to your call for those sheriffs to uphold the Constitution by ignoring state restrictions on the Second Amendment?
Well, first of all, those laws are...
We're going to have to wrap up here real quickly.
Those laws are complete violation of Vermont law and federal law in the Constitution. Why not do it?
And what has been the reaction of the sheriffs?
We haven't heard too much from the sheriffs there because they don't even think this is going into effect because it violates Vermont law.
Sheriff Richard Mack, good to talk with you.
Same
Thanks
here.
for being here.
Thanks, Lou.